with the knowledge that you have now, do you have any advice for those who are just getting started in their career?
Well, I think that's something that clearly the profession and, not only the band directing profession, but clearly education right now is facing is I think that, we see people leaving, and I'm really passionate about the longevity. I'm seeing this thing through, I've been in 26 years, I'm not, this is it, for me. I feel confident that I'm going to get to the end. And it's been the most rewarding experience. Like being a band kid was great, but being a band director has been so much better than that. And, it makes me sad that people are leaving. And I hear all of that, and I don't blame anybody. Everybody has their stuff and they have to make the best decisions for themselves and their families. But, and I get it, there's money involved and there's time involved and whatever. I just want to remind younger people that you can have the program that you want to have. And when you look at other programs, you don't have to do all the things. You don't have to stay. I don't stay at Flower Mound till 8 o'clock every night. Are there busy times? Do we work really hard? Yes. But we don't, I'm running in before first period. Brent stays. We don't run a morning rehearsal schedule, sectionals, because Brent is at home with his boys and he helps get them ready for school. And you can run the program that you want to run. And so just thinking that you have to put in a 10 to 12 hour day to make things work, I think has, I think that a lot of people, and again, I want to be transparent, not that I don't work a 10 to 12 hour day every once in a while, but I do think that that's become this like, look at me, look how hard I work, look how many hours I work. And I think that we look on social media and you see people either putting that in a positive light or a negative light, right. Both of those things. I think we all see that, and just, I want to just make sure that people understand it doesn't have to be that way. It can be whatever you want it to be. And just because Jana Harvey does it this way does not mean that you have to do it that way. Jana Harvey does it this way because that's who Jana Harvey is. And that's, what I've grown over 26 years that I've decided I'm going to commit and do. But it doesn't have to be that way,
And you mentioned a really good point on work-life balance. And
yes.
That's something that I have even tried like learning myself. Like one of the things for me is I used to be very hustle culture and very much like get up at whatever, right. Early break of dawn in the morning and then work till almost 8, 9 o'clock. And right. Obviously right now I'm in a different field, but just, I had to learn to take a step back. I actually own 2 phones. One is work and one is personal.
Oh, that's great.
And so that allowed me to have that physical separation. So for instance, to make myself not work over the weekend, I would lock my phone in my home office, close the door, and then if I was out with friends, I would not bring it with me. Yeah. And that was what I needed to learn to have right. Work-life balance to avoid burnout. And so I actually want to show you something you posted specifically during the pandemic, which we know you talked about. There's been an influx of teachers leaving this profession specifically. Yes. And I just want you to look over that for a second that I found.
You found like the one thing I posted ever.
Yes.
I just stalk everybody on social media. I don't actually post my own things.
Yeah. And so you're just talking about, how proud you are of the students, because obviously we know during the pandemic, it was a really hard time. And kind of, as you previously mentioned, with teachers leaving the profession, especially during this hard time, what was the driving force for you that made you stay and want to, stay and live your passion?
Man, this was a crazy time. So I posted, that's a post that I made on the day that the class of 2020 at Flower Mound graduated. And it was, as everybody knows, it was extremely difficult and it was extremely emotional. And we didn't get any closure, they were just gone. I remember that we did a drive-through where they came and picked up the stuff from their lockers and there were just kids crying and it was just terrible. And we would see them on, WebEx, which is what our district used. And we'd see them on WebEx and you just, over time, like, they just didn't look good. And, it was just, I know it was rough for all of us. I took the time, our seniors, I wrote them all a letter, hand wrote, everybody, because we had a lot of time. And I mailed it to them. I mailed them all a letter during that time. It was so difficult, and things have not been easy since. And they're still not easy. And things are not back to normal, if you will. I'm not even sure what normal is, but things are not back to normal. As far as band goes, it's just been trying to get the kids to remember, or learn, because they never did. For us, it's a return to normalcy. I think what we forget about the kids is some of them lost middle school. That's a really, really important developmental time in any person's life, and those years are gone.
Right.
And so we are dealing with things that maybe the middle school directors were working through with them. Well, now we're dealing with that at the high school, and I'm sure, excuse me, I'm sure the middle school directors would tell you some of the same things. There's just gaps of time for these kids that were gone. I think that there's more just from an education, not band directing, from administrative, there's do this, do more, do this paper, do, all of these things, do more with the same amount of time and the same amount of resources. And so clearly we are at a breaking point. I think that everybody sees that tipping point happening right now. And hopefully the people that are in charge will respond appropriately, to that. But that's not something that we can control. So what I try to remember, and is that the very best thing, and I'm sure this is, universal, the most favorite part of my day is when I'm with the kids. That's why we all got into this. It was to teach. We didn't all get into this to take attendance by 10:05. We did not get into this to do, grade pass-offs, to midnight every night. It's when I'm with the kids. So when things are not going, well, when I'm having a bad day or a bad week or whatever, I really make sure that I'm present in my rehearsals and that I'm with the kids. I joke with Brent. Brent clearly has a very different job description than I do. He's on the phone a lot. When the principal comes looking, the principal is not looking for Jana Harvey. The principal is looking for Brent Biscup. Ms. Drinkwater is looking for Brent Biscup. So there are things that pull him in a different direction, and he starts to get, weighed down with, what his stuff. And I will tell him, it's time for you to come out and be with the kids. It's time for you to just put, that'll all be there and come out and be with the kids, and just be present at rehearsals. So when all that stuff is overwhelming, which it is, and it's not better right now, just be present with the kids. That's why you decided to do this. Be present with the kids, Yeah. And if you don't get the form filled out, you don't get the form filled out, They're not going to fire you because they can't find anybody else right now.